You gotta let the stream breathe just for a second here. Make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Obviously, not good news for the Denver Broncos as they lose 41-10 to the Baltimore Ravens. A game where this Broncos defense somewhat got exposed, man. They went out there and they played a horrible game of football. They reverted back to their old ways of 2023 where they played a lot of soft zone coverage, giving the Ravens receivers free releases off of the line of scrimmage, give them holes to sit down in that zone coverage, and Lamar just picked them apart. Offensively, they started off a little bit rough. Little Jordan Humphrey had a drop that turned into an interception for Bo Nix, but that wasn't Bo Nix's fault. Then on their second drive, they moved the ball well, but they got down near the goal line, and on fourth down, Sean Payton calls a, or I don't think they got down near the goal line, but they moved the ball downfield, and on fourth down and short, Sean Payton calls a toss play that gets stuffed short of the line to gain. Just ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. You cannot play that brand of football. You can't shoot yourself in the foot early on with mistakes. You can't do that and still expect to win the football game. And it's really unfortunate. The Denver Broncos went in there and they had a chance to potentially make a statement, and instead they made a statement in the wrong manner. They made a statement of negativity, quite frankly. So this game, there's not a whole lot of positive to take away, but what little positive there is to take away honestly does give you some optimism, and that is Bo Nix. I thought that Bo Nix went out there and he played a great game. He made some really nice throws. He made some plays with his legs. He kept the Broncos at least competitive in that first half. It was really unfortunate for the Broncos because there was a 14-point swing by the time the Broncos touched the ball the last time in the first half and the time that they touched it the first time in the second half. The Ravens had that inexcusable touchdown at the end of the first half where I have no idea what Devon Key was doing. He couldn't wrap up and tackle. I don't know what he was doing. It looked like a lack of effort from Devon Key on that play. Zay Flowers got loose. It was an easy touchdown to end the first half. Ravens won the toss and deferred, so they got the ball to start the second half, and they get the ball, they go downfield, they get another touchdown, and by that point, the game was just absolutely over. So Bo Nix, unfortunately, didn't really have ample opportunities to keep the Broncos in this game. The execution to playing that kind of soft zone coverage that lost the Broncos all those games last season, it gave me PTSD. It really did. I understand that you're playing against a mobile quarterback in Lamar Jackson, and you want to sit back and play zone, keep your eyes on Lamar in case he breaks out of the pocket. But in the first half, Lamar was just dicing you up through the air. You needed to make adjustments because what you were doing in that first half with the soft zone just was not working. And unfortunately, we saw those adjustments of a presence as a tackler. Devon Key had a horrible game. The Broncos just went away from what they did best on the defensive side of the ball, and that's playing aggressive, single high man coverage, blitzing your opponent, and basically pounding them into submission on that side of the ball. And the Broncos just went away from that, and it was inexcusable. It really was. We've got Bobby Hill III saying Key is dookie. He did not play a good game at all. He did not. Bronco fan agrees with my sentiment, says tackling was awful. Humphrey also did not have a great game. Bronco fan says too much zone. Truce to Poet says why give up on blitzing. I don't understand it either, because I understand you were worried about Lamar Jackson breaking out of the pocket, but A, you weren't playing contain well enough, so he was breaking out of the pocket anyway, and B, it got to a point where he was just dicing you up from the pocket through the air. Why didn't you make an adjustment? I would have rather gotten beat with Lamar on the ground than the way that he beat the Broncos today. It was just a bad game plan defensively and a lack of adjustment until it was too late. This Broncos team, although we're sitting here right now and it feels like doom and gloom, this team still has a very good chance to make the playoffs this year. They are still in pole position to get into the dance. If the day ended right now, if the season ended today, the Broncos, they would be the 7th seed. even after the outcomes of later on today, the Broncos would still be the 7th seed. They'd still be in the playoffs. They've got a chance to go into Kansas City next week and play pissed off and go in there and punch them in the mouth. And I think that if this Broncos team wants to play ball with the big boys, then they should mouth. They punched us right in the mouth. And the Broncos just were ill prepared for it. Next week, they're going to have to be prepared for it because Kansas City, they're an equally as tough opponent. Thankfully, you're not going to see as much soft, squishy zone coverage against the Kansas City Chiefs because you're not as worried about Patrick Mahomes scrambling. You're going to be focused more on trying to get him off of his spot, blitz him, make him uncomfortable, and hold up in man coverage. So I think that defensively, the game plan for the Kansas City Chiefs game is going to be different than this Baltimore Ravens game. But still, the Broncos went away from what they did best on defense. I understand dropping back and playing zone against Spencer Rattler and the Saints, against a patchwork Saints offensive line, you're still going to be able to win one-on-one matchups. The Broncos didn't win one-on-one matchups up front. If you're going to drop back and play zone, you've got to be able to win up front, and the Broncos didn't do that. They lost up front today. They couldn't play contain well, and they were just losing their one-on-one matchups. They were not getting pressure on Lamar Jackson. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Big C in the house saying, we are trash. Until the Broncos, we can prove and beat a good team. I don't think we have a team good enough to make the playoffs this year. I think the Broncos do have a good enough team to make the playoffs this year, and their schedule favors them in the back half of the season. It really does, but they've got to play a better brand of football than they did today. They've got to watch the tape from this game. They've got to learn what they executed poorly, and they've got to flush it and move on to next week. They really do, because this team still has a good chance to make the playoffs, but they got punched in the mouth today. They got shit canned. There is no nice way to put it. But again, sometimes losses like that help jumpstart a team and help them play some of their best football. We saw the 70-20 fiasco down in Miami last year, and after that, we saw the Broncos make personnel adjustments on defense, and they were playing so much better on that unit. Hopefully, it is a similar type of situation in this game. But despite all of the bad play that we saw on the defense, like I talked about, the biggest takeaway from this game, I feel like, is Bo Nix. How well he played in this game when the cards were stacked against him. I thought Bo Nix made some nice throws. He kept the Broncos in a position where they were still able to be competitive in that first half. I thought Bo was easily playing some of his best football in this game. I thought that he did a great job, but your run game, I thought that it had its moments in the first half, but eventually the game got away from you and you weren't really able to run the football. So that was a big-time disadvantage for the Denver Broncos, and it just allowed you, or it didn't allow you to limit the possessions for the Baltimore Ravens by controlling the clock. That early turnover really hurt the Broncos because it allowed Baltimore to go downfield, or really was that early turnover on downs that did it, because that allowed Baltimore to go down and get early points. And when you're playing down against the Baltimore Ravens, you're not really going to ever be in a position to come back against a team like that. It sucks. It really does. It really does suck, man. You have to blitz next week, and you can let Patrick have all day to throw. You've got to blitz, man. It's something you have to do. You've got to get Patrick Mahomes off his spot and make him uncomfortable. He can still beat you if you blitz him, but it's going to be your best bet against the Chiefs. You can't sit back, be passive, and play zone like the Broncos did today. Otherwise, Patrick is going to pick you apart. Little Jordan, 0 effort, same as Devon Key. Yep, definitely. Both of those guys are going to go in my losers category in the Broncos stock report for this week. Neither one of those guys played a good game. How do we give up that touchdown at the end of the first half? Devon Key, it looked like he was playing two-hand touch on that tackle. He wasn't focused on wrapping up Flowers, and he ended up letting Flowers get loose, and nobody was able to catch him from behind after that. All right, Sean Payton is live, guys, so we're going to go ahead and switch over to the press conference streams. I will go ahead and make a formal game wrap-up video as soon as we get done with the press conferences, and I've got some other videos I want to make as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Be sure to leave a like on this stream as well as subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying